Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wisdom and Wit, the show where we take a deep dive into the shallow end of the political pool. I'm Jimmy, your guide through this comedic cesspool of conservative commentary.
Now, let's get this party started like it's January 6th all over again.
You know, folks, I've been thinking a lot about this whole House Speaker vote situation. It's like trying to herd cats, except the cats are all wearing MAGA hats and have their tails stuck in the Constitution. Trump's out there endorsing Mike Johnson like he's the last slice of well-done steak at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, can you imagine being on the receiving end of that call? But here's the thing, folks. Trump needs this win like I need another beer after telling my wife I'll be home in 5 minutes. Trump's trying to unite the party faster than a bunch of Democrats running away from a balanced budget. And let me tell you, uniting Republicans these days is harder than explaining to my wife why I need a separate credit card for golf expenses. It's like trying to get a group of cats to agree on their favorite flavor of mouse. It ain't happening without some serious catnip, if you know what I mean. But Trump's got a plan, folks. He's going to make the Republican Party great again, one reluctant congressman at a time. It's like a political version of The Bachelor, except instead of roses, he's handing out cabinet positions and Twitter shoutouts. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Jimmy, how's he going to do that with such a tiny majority? Well, let me tell you, size doesn't matter.
At least that's what I keep telling myself. But in politics, it's not about how big your majority is. It's how you use it. These Republicans have got to stick together tighter than my Uncle Cletus's dentures after a bowl of corn on the cob. One wrong move, and the whole thing could fall apart faster than my New Year's resolution to cut back on bacon. And let's be honest, folks. Some of these congressmen are about as predictable as a cat in a room full of laser pointers.
You've got your moderates, your conservatives, and then you've got those guys who make Ted Cruz look like a socialist. It's like trying to build a house of cards in a tornado while blindfolded and drunk. And not the fun kind of drunk. I'm talking the I just found out my sister's my cousin kind of drunk. But here's the kicker, folks. Trump's got to pull this off faster than I can come up with an excuse for forgetting our anniversary. He's got big plans, huge plans. We're talking immigration reform, so strict even my GPS will need a green card. And don't even get me started on those tax cuts. They're going to be so big you'll think you've died and gone to capitalist heaven. It'll be raining dollar bills, folks. Just don't tell the IRS I said that. But before all that can happen, we've got to get this speaker situation sorted out. It's like trying to pick a designated driver at a moonshine festival. Nobody wants to do it, but somebody's got to step up. And speaking of stepping up, folks, we've got a real treat for you tonight. A man who knows more about winning than Charlie Sheen on a Vegas bender. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one, the only, the man who puts the pub in Republican, Donald Trump.
Thanks, Jimmy. You know, I always feel a little nervous coming on stage after you. It's like following a unicorn at a horse show. No matter how good I am, I'm still just another jackass with a horn strapped to my head. But hey, speaking of things that make you feel inadequate, did you hear about Apple's latest scandal? They're shelling out $95 million because Siri's been a naughty little eavesdropper. Yeah, turns out she's been listening in on our conversations without permission. It's like having a really tech-savvy mother-in-law living in your pocket. I mean, come on, Apple. You're supposed to be the good guys, the ones who respect our privacy. Tim Cook's always going on about how privacy is a fundamental human right. Well, Tim, so is not having your iPhone listen to you take a dump. But here we are. You know what this means, folks? Every time you've asked Siri for directions to the nearest strip club, she's been taking notes. Every time you've drunkenly sung All by Myself at 3 a.m., she's been critiquing your performance. Hell, she probably knows more about your sex life than your actual partner does. And let's be honest, for some of you, that's not saying much. I'm looking at you, guy in the back with the Linux Rules t-shirt. Yeah, I see you. Siri's probably the only female voice you've heard in your bedroom since your mom stopped tucking you in. But here's the kicker. Apple's not even admitting they did anything wrong. They're just throwing money at the problem like a guilty husband at a jewelry store. You know what's really sad? $95 million is pocket change for Apple. It's like when Jeff Bezos tips a waiter $1 and thinks he's being generous. Look at me, I'm helping the little people. No, Jeff, you're just being a cheap bastard with better PI. And get this, if you owned an Apple device between 2014 and 2022, you might be eligible for compensation. Up to $20 per device. Wow, 20 whole dollars. That'll cover what, half a bottle of lube to ease the pain of being screwed over by a $1 trillion company? I can see the ads now. Were you violated by Siri? Did she listen to your most intimate moments without buying you dinner first? You may be entitled to compensation. It's like a class action lawsuit meets a bad porno. Siri's naughty eavesdropping adventure, coming soon to a courtroom near you. But seriously, folks, this is the world we live in now. Our devices are spying on us, our virtual assistants are gossiping behind our backs, and the best we can hope for is enough money to buy a fancy coffee as an apology. It's like George Orwell's 1984, but instead of Big Brother, we've got Big Tech, and they're not just watching us. They're making billions off our data. You know what the real irony is? We're all going to take that $20, go right back to the Apple store and buy another device that'll spy on us all over again. It's like paying your drug dealer with the money you won in rehab. We're addicted, folks, and Tim Cook is our pusher. And let's not forget, this is the same company that fought the FBI when they wanted to unlock a terrorist iPhone. Apple was all, no way, we respect our users' privacy too much. Meanwhile, Siri's in the background like, "Cest boss, I've got some juicy gossip about the guy in apartment 3B. But hey, at least we're getting something out of this deal, right? I mean, $20 is $20. That's like, what? 2 avocado toasts, half a tank of gas, a small fraction of your therapy bill after realizing Siri knows all your secrets? It's practically a windfall. You know, I'm starting to think maybe we should all just go back to flip phones. Sure, you can ask them for directions or to set a timer, but at least they won't judge you for your terrible taste in music or your embarrassing Google searches. How to remove wine stains from a fursuit? Yeah, Siri remembers that one, buddy. But let's be real, we're not going back. We're in too deep. We've sold our souls for the convenience of being able to ask a disembodied voice to remind us to buy toilet paper. And now we know that Voice has been listening to us use that toilet paper. It's a brave new world, folks, and it's full of virtual peeping Toms. So what have we learned from all this? Well, for one, never trust a company that names its products after fruits. For another, if you're going to have embarrassing conversations, maybe do it the old-fashioned way, in person, where only the NSA can hear you. And finally, we've learned that in the grand scheme of things, our privacy is worth about as much as a used napkin to these tech giants. They'll violate it, apologize with some pocket change, and we'll all just shrug and go back to asking Siri what the weather's like outside our windows. But hey, that's enough about Apple and their sneaky little AI. I think it's time we moved on to something a little less depressing. And who better to lift our spirits than the incomparable Dixie? She's like a ray of sunshine. If sunshine could tell jokes and make you question your life choices. Take it away, Dixie.
I really think we can find a way to discuss these issues without resorting to harmful stereotypes. Comedy can be a powerful tool for change when used thoughtfully. Let's focus on how we can create humor that brings people together rather than divides them. I'm excited to explore this with you.